Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I recreated this style you're seeing on the screen. You'll be learning how to cut and sew it. You also learn how to cut and sew the sleeve parts. This video is a requested tutorial from one of my subscribers. So if you have any dress you want me to recreate or analyze for you, I'll put a link on my description box for our Telegram group. Please do well to join the group. Please make sure you watch till the end and don't skip any part so that you won't miss any important information. Okay, I have this very ribbon that I'll be using for the design on the yoke. I bought 4 yards of it. I also have this crinoline. This is 2 inches by width. I have this Mikado fabric that I'll be using for the yoke and for the sleeve. You can use Duchess fabric or anything, but I prefer this thick one. I have this beautiful Ankara fabric. I used 3.5 years for this gown. I'll be cutting front and back together, so I'll be telling you the amount of fabric you need to put or fold in order not to waste your fabric. Remember I told you I have 3.5 years of African print and the width of this Ankara is 45 inches. I'll be joining some pieces to get the full length of my gown. I'll be using the biggest part of my body measurement to determine the amount of fabric that will be enough for the front and back. Our hip is the biggest part and I have 48 inches for my hip measurement. I will be adding extra 13 inches for all my necessary sewing allowances. So I've gone ahead to cut it out. I will confirm it now for you to see. If I measure it, I have 61 inches in total. Can you see what I'm doing? Please make sure you don't skip any part so that you will not miss any important information. Can you see my 48 inches and I have 13 inches for my allowances? So I'll go ahead now and fold it into two. I folded the 61 inches into two. Fold it into two equal parts the way you see me doing. After folding it, I'll fold it again, leaving my 2 inches zipper allowance. I will arrange it very well. Can you see my 2 inches zipper allowance? So I have my front and back here. This close edge is my front part. Can you see? This is my zipper allowance, 2 inches zipper allowance. So I will start my measurement from the front part, that is from the folded edge. So I will start with my vertical measurement, and to get my chest line I came down from my shoulder to 9 inches, from my shoulder to 17 inches to mark my half length, from my shoulder to 36 inches for my hip line. My full length is 58 inches. I added 2 inches for sewing allowance, but remember that I told you I will be joining some pieces to get my full length, so I ruled my lines out. The next thing is to mark my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 16. I divided it into 2. I have 8 inches. So from the folded edge I measured 8 inches and I drew the line down to my chest line. The next style of this dress is canoe neck. If you check the picture on the thumbnail, you understand. For the neck width I used 6 inches, and for the neck depth I used 4.5. The neck width and neck depth for the front and back is the same thing. Please take note of that. So I will first of all make a square line and I will connect it this way. The line is not curved like the way we used to curve our U neckline. It's like straight. Canoe neck is not curved like U shape. Just study my markings, you will get it right. Alright, so I will come down by 1 inch for my front shoulder slant and I will mark ½ inch for the back shoulder slant. When I'm cutting it, you understand. So I will divide my chest line by 2. I'll get the midpoint. I'll come in by 0.75 for the front armhole and ½ inch for the back armhole. If you check the dress that I'm recreating, you observe that the dress is free. It's only on the waist that is fitted. So I'll be showing you how to achieve all that. On my chest line, I will insert quarter of my round bust measurement there. I divided my bust by 4 and I add 1 inch for ease allowance. So I will add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance, and I will curve it the way you see me doing. On my half length, I will be inserting my round waist measurement there. So I divided my round waist by 4. I add 1 inch. This 1 inch is for that intake. If you check the waist of the dress that I'm recreating, you find out that it's fitted around the waist area. So I added 1 inch for that intake. When I close my dart, it will be fitted, and I add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. On my hip, I will do the same thing, add 1 inch for ease and 1.5 inches for sewing allowance, and I will connect it. So from there I will roll it straight down. I will roll it straight down from my hip. So after that, now I'll be cutting it out. I did not remove anything for the zipper bulge because the dress is not fitted. So I will cut it out now. I'm cutting through the lines. You know the neck depth is supposed to be 5 inches, but I took 4.5 inches because of sewing allowance. I first of all cut out my back shoulder slope and back armhole. After cutting it out, I will remove the back part so that I can finish off with the front part. Okay, this is my front part. I'll go ahead now and trim up the shoulder slope for the front and front armhole. The next thing I did is that I used my main fabric to cut out my lining for the front and back. Remember to do that when you are cutting yours so that you will not cut the lining for the yoke separately. To cut my yoke, I'll place my tape this way, making sure that I remove the 1 inch I took for the shoulder slope. I will come down by 14 inches for the length of the yoke. From my shoulder to 14 inches is my underbust measurement. And for the sweetheart neck, I will start from my chest line, which is 9 inches by length, and I will curve it the way you see me doing. Can you see how I'm curving it? After that, I will now cut it out. This is what I have when I was done cutting it. Can you see? So I'll go ahead now and place it on my Mikado fabric. So you fold it into two this way. You place your yoke. The yoke is folded also. I'll place it this way. I'll only add my sewing allowance on the down part where I will be joining it with the lower part. I use my pin to secure it. I will add my ½ inch sewing allowance this way, and I will cut it out. Can you see I did not add any other sewing allowance on the neck area and the armhole area? If you are watched up to this length and you find my video interesting, please do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. Alright? Okay, I'm gonna head to iron my interface on my main fabric. Can you see where I join on my lining to complete this full length? I reduced my lining by 2 inches because I want it to have a little folding on the hem, and I iron my soft gum stain on the main fabric to give it a little strength. This is totally optional. The next thing I'll be doing now is to show you how I create the design on the yoke with the velvet trimmings. If you check the picture on the thumbnail, you see how the original creator of this dress positioned the velvet trimmings. So to do that, I will rule a straight line on the middle the way you see me doing. So on that middle where I rule the line, I will measure 1.5 inches. On the next side, I come out by 0.75 and I will rule it. I didn't want to make the markings visible because I was marking on the right side of my fabric. Just follow what I'm doing, you get it right. I also measure another 1.5 inches and I will slant it to the 0.75 upwards. I'll continue to mark it till I fill up all the space. Just carefully do it. I'll go offline now and do it and come back and show you. Can you see? So what you will do now is to take your velvet ribbon and place it this way. Can you see what I'm doing? Place it on the line. I place it on the middle line first. You stitch it on the both sides. You can use your pin to hold it. You place another one. Can you see the space in between? Can you see? Just be placing it on the line. I'll go to my sewing machine now and stitch it and come back and show you how it looks like. Before you place your velvet trimming, please iron your hair stay. on it to stabilize it. Ironing your hairstay on it will make it not to look rough after sewing your velvet trimmings. This is what I have when I was done attaching the velvet trimmings. Can you see what I have? So I will now attach it on the main dress. I'll place it this way. Just watch what I'm doing, you get it right. You can slash it open so that it will be easier for you. That's what I normally do when I'm joining a deep neckline. So I will use my pin now to hold it before going to my sewing machine to sew. I will mark my ½ inch and follow the line and stitch. Can you see I've stitched it already? Can you see how I mark it like V? I'll remove my pins now and give it a good notch. After notching it, I will spread it out for you to see what we have. Can you see? Very neat. It's coming out already. I will give it a good ironing now so that it can lay flat. Use your steam iron to iron it. After ironing it, I'll fold it into two so that I can show you how to take in your waist dart. So I will confirm my half length. From my shoulder to my half length is 17 inches. I'll mark 4.5 for my nipple point. My nipple to nipple point is 9 inches. I divided it by 2 to get 4.5 inches, and I'll come up by 5 inches. My half length is from my shoulder to 17 inches. Please confirm that. I came down by 5.5 inches and I rule a straight line to connect it. On the waistline, I will measure half inch on the both sides. I'm taking my time to mark it like this for the sake of beginners and also to show you how the fittest waistline was achieved. So I will turn it now and do the same thing on this side. If you are not a beginner, you can add your dart the way you used to add that when you are sewing a straight gown. Alright, so after doing the same thing on this side, I will spread it out now for you to see. So what I will do now, I will go to my sewing machine and hold it this way and follow the line and stitch. So I will also do the same thing on the back part, but remember to fold in your zipper allowance before you measure your dart. You can notch your zipper allowance. After sewing in my dart, I will now spray my main fabric on the lining so that I can trim it off. I don't want to add that on my lining, so I will trim it off on the waistline. Can you see I've sewn my dart already? I'll also remove my dart on the back lining. Before I show you how I cut the sleeve, I'll be turning the fabric with the lining. So I'll go and sew the hem first and I will sew the both side. I'll also do the same thing for the front part. I've done it already. Can you see? So when I was sewing the neckline, I used my hemming gun to turn it so that if I turn it to the right side and iron it, it will be very neat and well relaxed. I also did the same thing for the front part. I will notch the neckline. Please notch the neckline and cut off the excess sewing allowance. I've done it already and turn it to the right side. This is my back part. I'll go ahead and attach my zipper before I can shape the dress. Can you see? So this is my front part. I've ironed it very well and I will place it together, right side facing the right side. I will join the shoulder lining to lining, fabric to fabric. Can you see how I place it? Please, when you are shaping your dress, remember that we added 1 inch for ease on the bust and the hip line. Your waist, you use your exact waist measurement to shape it. Alright, for my side slit, I will measure from my shoulder to 35 inches. That's where my side slit will start. You can as well measure from your waist to 19 inches to determine that. This is where my slit will start. So I will shape from here now. Please remember, when you are shaping your waistline, use your exact waist measurement. It's on the bust and on the hip that you add 1 inch to your measurement when you are shaping it. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, do let me know on the comment section. Alright, okay, I've gone ahead to draft out my basic sleeve. I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut and sew a sleeve. I just want to show you how you can achieve the exact sleeve on my thumbnail. So for the sleeve, I have the length of 13 inches. I've already added my sewing allowance on this pattern. I also added ease allowance because the sleeve is not meant to be tight. On my sleeve head, I came down by 3.5 inches. From the length of the sleeve, I came up by 4 inches. This 4 inches is what I'll be using to cut out my ruffles. So I will make a straight line. From this 3.5 inches, I will connect it the way you see me doing. Just watch what I'm doing. Can you see? From the side sleeve, you can measure 2.5 inches to connect. So I will trim it off now. I think I'll be making it more open. So I'll add extra half inch, making it 4 inch. So I'll measure my half inch now. So I will cut it out. Just follow what I'm doing, you'll get it right. After cutting it out, this is what you have. Can you see? You cut for the two sleeve. I'll go ahead now and place it on my fabric. Before I cut it out, I will measure the round sleeve. This round sleeve I'm measuring will be the length of my ruffle. So I'll measure it and I will write it down so that I will not forget. So what I have is 21 inches. I will add 1 inch for sewing allowance. So take note of that. If you want to achieve a fuller ruffle like the one on the thumbnail, you can add extra 5 inches. I'm just managing my fabric. I will go ahead and add my sewing allowance round and cut it out. Can you see? I've already cut it out. I added my sewing allowance round. I also cut the one that I'll use for my ruffles. There are so many methods you can use to cut your ruffles. For me, I'll be using flounce. I'll be cutting it by flounce method. You can use souffle. Remember when we measured the round sleeve, we got 21, added 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I have 22 inches by width and 22 inches by length. If you want to cut the both sleeve together, what you will do is to multiply the 21 inches by 2. You have 42 by width and 42 by length. So I'll be cutting one sleeve so that I will not confuse you. I'll iron my hairstay on it and I'll be cutting the mikado and the main fabric together. The first thing I will do now is to determine the midpoint. So I divided the width by 2 and I divided the length by 2. This is my midpoint here. So I will make a cross sign now to indicate it. Just watch what I'm doing, you get it right. On the middle point, I will measure 2 inches. I want to create a circle. So I will mark 2 inches round and I will connect it. Can you see the circle? So from the midpoint also, I will measure the length of my ruffle, which is 4 inches. I'll add half inch for sewing allowance. That's 4.5 inches. So if you measure it, you connect it back to the midpoint. Can you see what I'm doing? That's the method. So you just follow what I'm doing, you get it right. So from the middle point, I will continue with my 4.5 inches. So when I get to this point, I will continue with the first line. I measured my 4.5. Can you see what I'm doing? Just place your tape this way and you continue with your 4.5. From this line now is where I will mark the next 4.5. I will go round. Please, if you are watched up to this length and you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly hit the subscribe button to join the family. If you are making this kind of style for your client, please charge your client very well. Because of the crinoline, I use about 5 years of crinoline to make this style. If you charge your client 20,000 naira, it's manageable. It's not too much. I will just go ahead now and trim everything out. Cut it out from here. Can you see what I have? This is for one sleeve. You can go ahead and cut for the other sleeve. If I measure what I have here, I have about 50 inches. It will be enough for one sleeve. If I gather it or if I do my pleating, the ruffle will come out well. So I've cut out my lining for the sleeve. The next thing I'll be showing you is how you can attach your crinoline. So I will place my mikado and my main fabric right side facing the right side, and I will come down by 2 inches. I'll sew it off camera and come back and show you. So I've gone ahead to sew it. Can you see how I place my crane on it? You will stitch with a tiny stitch on that 1/2 inch. You place it this way and you stitch. When you are sewing, stretch it a little bit so that it will be wavy if you turn it to the right side. Can you see what I did? So I will remove my pins now and turn it to the right side so that you can see what I have. Can you see the neat finishing? Even without top stitching on it, it's looking very neat. So I'm gonna ahead and turn everything out now. Can you see what I have? I will iron it. I'll go ahead and iron it now and show you the outcome. This is what I have. Can you see? That's the method you use when you don't want to top stitch on your dress. To finish it up, I will insert my hemming gum on it and give it a good press so that it can stick together, or you stitch on it to close it up. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to sew my lining. I'll first of all sew the hem and show you the next thing you will do. Please watch closely what I'm doing. You will understand. Just sew it on the down part. After sewing it, you turn it this way. I want to shape the side lining to lining, fabric to fabric, so that I can achieve a neat finishing. I will secure it this way and I will come back and show you. Can you see? I've turned it to the right side. Just arrange it very well the way you see me doing. After arranging it, I will stitch it down to secure it. I will run a stitch on the armhole side and on the down part. I've done it already. You can go ahead now and weave it. This is the round sleeve, this is the round armhole, and this is the middle that will be going to the armhole. So the next thing I will do now is to show you how to plait it. You keep it on the same line where I stitch. Can you see how I placed it? You start your pleating. You can position your ruffle the way you want it. I'll be using kissing pleat. If you want to achieve the exact one on the tunnel, you can do a bold pleating. For me, I will form my own the way I want it to be. This is just a tutorial, so you can do whatever you want. Can you see what I have? I've also done the same thing for the other sleeve. The next thing I'll do now is to close it this way. I just close it with 1/2 inch. This is how it will look like when you're done. I will iron it very well. After ironing it, I will just attach it to my sleeve. You match it this way, the way you used to attach your sleeve. Can you see? Mine is equal because I measure my round armhole. I've gone ahead to cut out my pocket. I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut and fix a pocket. So what I did, I placed my hand like this and I cut out my pocket. The width of the pocket is 6 inches. I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to sew it. I left 1 inch that I'll be using to attach it on my dress. So what I will do now is to measure the length of where I will be attaching my pocket. So from my shoulder, I came down by 19 inches. I'll measure down 19 inches. So from that 19 inches, I will come down by the width of the pocket. I have 6 inches there. I will measure down 6 inches. This 1 inch I left here is where I'll be attaching it on my sleeve. So you pass it to secure it so that your pocket will not loose. I'll use my seam ripper to open it off. Just create a hole. After opening it up, you stitch it. Just back stitch on it to secure it. So I will match it this way. This is my 1 inch. I'll match it on the 1 inch for the sewing allowance. I'll also do the same thing on the other side. I'll stitch on it. After stitching on it, I will show you how it looks like. Can you see the outcome of everything? Please, before you attach your sleeve, make sure you interlock it. Weave it before attaching your sleeve. I didn't weave it because I'm making this dress for myself. So for the side slit, you use your hemming gum to iron it so that it will relax well.